on into what YouthFest is. Okay, I just have to brag again, and I think she had it in there. Only 6 theater companies were selected in the whole country, and we're one of those. And it's pretty. So Vicki and I, like, what? April, March, March. I think we started talking about, like, this is crazy. You want to do this? And she's like, yeah, let's do it. And here we are. So that's all I want to say about that.
So pretty much the details that are important to know right now are on here. The dates, the location, and again, it's in Louisville, June 12th through the 17th. And the show that we're doing is a cutting. Come on in. The show that we'll be doing is a cutting of this play called Mockingbird. It is not To Kill a Mockingbird, in case there was any question about that. I get that question a lot, so that's why I'm mentioning it. Mockingbird is a story about Caitlin, who's the main character. Caitlin has Asperger's syndrome, and her brother is killed in a school shooting. Now, the school shooting is not the main portion of the play. It is mentioned, so we're not focusing on that. What the story is about is how Caitlin communicates to the world, to the students around her, to the adults around her, and how she deals with her grief and acceptance and all of that of losing the person that was closest to her in her life. So it's a really touching story. The full-length production is 90 minutes. We are allowed 45 minutes, and that includes setup and tear down. So we've done a cutting, which means we've taken sections of it out and trying to keep the story, the gist of the story there. And it's kind of done. I have people reviewing it now. So just to make sure I haven't missed any important, I'm not confusing people along the way, but I think we've got a good cutting that really gets to the gist of the story. So I've listed the characters that are on there. Caitlin Dad, Mrs. Brooke is the counselor. Mrs. Johnson is the teacher. And the ensemble, there's just like any other play, there's people will be cast in multiple roles, most likely, unless you're like Caitlin or Dad, then that's a little different. But we're looking at, it calls for a cast of 9. I'm planning to take a cast of 12, so that we have understudies in case somebody gets sick or something happens and they can't go at the last minute. We still have a show intact. In addition, we are trying to have an all-youth crew. So that's everything: stage manager, lighting, sound, and throughout the next several months, we will be teaching people that are doing those roles. If they don't know, even if they do know how to do it, even if they've done it before, we're going to be teaching them the system and teaching them how to do it. So if you know somebody that's interested in that type of a role, they don't have to have any experience. That's not what we're after. So we are planning to do a full youth complement of actors and crew. So that's the plan. The only adults would be us.
She uses that term loosely.
Yes. So that's what we're doing. Now, that being said, we when we get to the second page, you'll see the cost information. And I'm going to talk about that in a little more detail. But we do know we're eligible for some grant funding through AACT. There's a foundation that sponsors YouthFest, and they provide travel expense money to the organizations that are coming. I do not know how much at this time. We're still in the application process. But that being said, it's funded for your cast, your crew, and your chaperones. Chaperones they basically designate 1 chaperone for every 7 students. That would give us 3. I might be able to squeak 1 more out of them because we have several kids that are interested that are younger, and I would like to be able to cast younger kids. So they're not teenagers, they're elementary age. And so I might be able to finagle 1 more out of them, but I don't know that yet. So, but that's the complement of what the grant funding will cover. And again, I don't know if it's complete travel expense. We'll find that out hopefully in a few weeks. We'll know that for sure. So flipping over to the logistics side, we don't plan on taking, like, if you guys have been involved in our shows before, normally we rehearse 4 to 5 nights a week, and it goes for 8 weeks, and we're not doing that. it's going to be for now until after the holidays, one rehearsal a week, and we will coordinate that day once we cast the show and we look at everybody's schedules and figure out, number one, what our venue that we're going to be rehearsing at will allow us to be at, and number two, what works best for the cast that's selected. So because of the limitations of what we can bring as far as travel, it's not like an open field. We can't cast necessarily everybody that auditions. So I want people to know that if you audition and don't get cast, and this goes to people that aren't here tonight as well, it doesn't mean anything other than, it doesn't mean you didn't deserve it. It doesn't mean you weren't good. We are limited. We can't bring a lot of extras. So that's important to know. Excuse me. I've covered kind of when we're not going to have rehearsals on there. That's on that schedule. I do pretty much need a commitment that if you sign on to this show, that you're committed to making it a priority on the dates that we rehearse. That doesn't mean we won't accept any conflicts. We will, okay, especially earlier on. But especially as we get closer, it's going to be harder. Now, I know one individual who's got a senior this year asked me about like graduation. Well, of course, we're not going to interfere with graduation. We're not going to interfere with those important dates. Your prom, I'm not going to make you rehearse on your prom date. Okay, that's not going to happen. All right, we're reasonable. We'll work around those things. But when you fill out your audition form, as much detail as you can put on there about dates that you know of, please put them on there, because that helps us when it comes to planning, and we'll try to work around those things. Having been a parent of a Blue Springs student, I also know that sometimes they schedule things, like 2 days before. And you don't always get a lot of notice for when these things are happening. Or maybe your kid didn't tell you, which is probably more often than not. But if that happens again, we're not going to be, so diehard, you can't miss no matter what. But I do need to stress it's always important to be at rehearsal when you can, but it's even more important for this. Okay, it's not a competition, it's an adjudication. So we will be adjudicated, we will be evaluated, we will receive feedback when we're there. It's going to be a tremendous learning experience. But we need people that are going to be able to be there and work things around the rehearsal schedule. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? I feel like I'm beating a dead horse. I'll go on. Okay. What else did I want to tell you? Okay. Jumping down to the expenses. What I've listed are estimates of the maximum cost. Okay. And this is what if we get no money coming in. We do know we will receive a grant. We just don't know how much. So that will be split up amongst everybody. Some of the requirements is that the participants must be members of ACT. For the students, it's a $15 membership. Okay. For the adults involved in the team, it's $65 unless you're already a member, which like I know I am, for example, but that I respect that most people probably are not. Okay. But if you are, it's already covered. Then there's the YouthFest registration fee, which you can see on there. And I'm assuming that some of that will be covered under the grant as well, but I don't really know at this point in time. Again, these are max costs.
Question.
Yes.
Is this we would be responsible for both youth and adults fees here under the registration?
If they're part of the team, the production team.
If they're part of the production, like for me, for example, I would have to pay the $65.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the second line.
YouthFest,
the registration.
This registration.
Youth is $240. Team adults $305.
Mm-hmm.
So if we have any adults, we're going to be charged $305, one fee.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Per person or as a team?
As a team, I think.
I believe it's per person. I wrote team adults to indicate production team, so I'll go back and verify.
Okay.
But I believe that's per person. So in other words, if you're attending Act Fest, Youth Fest as a youth member, your cost is $240. If you're attending as an adult, your cost is $305.
So it's like a conference fee.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
It sounded like it was a team.
I understand the
Okay, so
confusion, and that was my terminology, not theirs. So I apologize if that
No, I
confused
just
me a
wanted to
little bit.
clarify, so we weren't sitting there saying we just have to raise $305.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Would.
Yeah. So, And you can see that, this is, I copied right from their website, from the information, that money includes your workshops, your exhibitor booths, your giveaways, whatever, which, you go to a conference, you get this stuff, right? It's there. It also includes you can have tickets to all the shows that are because there are not just the youth shows, there are adult shows that will be produced during that week too. In fact, they just announced them in this month's edition of the Spotlight. Spotlight, if you once you have a membership with AACT, you'll get a bi-monthly newsletter called Spotlight, and they just issued today for the December edition, and they announced the adult theater groups that will be performing. So, but anyway, that's what that includes. That is, yes, the conference fee. So the lodging, this is based on the hotel rooms in the conference center, and the grant funding is based on 4 persons per room. So that boils down to about $45 per person per night. That's what that works out to. We're looking at some other options, which once we cast, we will have a discussion about. We're looking at the possibility of an Airbnb as another alternative for lodging, but we can talk about that later. This is the basic lodging expense. And that, again, it's right in the hotel where they're having the conference. So there's that.
I would also say, though, that if you're thinking, I'm not staying in a B&B with those crazy people, then we would absolutely respect that choice. Mm-hmm. And then if you want to lodge elsewhere, we can figure something out.
And we'll cross that bridge later, but I did want you to know that we're thinking about it. Yes. Okay, Kara.
I have an 18-year-old at that point, so I'm not so worried about it. But let's just say let's say she's 12. Mm-hmm. Do you have expectations for parents to attend? Or are the chaperones as part of the team just the chaperones for the team, and parents don't need to attend? They can ship their kids off.
Parents
with 3 or 4 adults and be done.
Parents do not need to attend. Okay. They're invited to if they want to, but they won't be included in the grant funding.
Okay.
So
these fees would, like the
230,
the 305, the 305 would apply to any adult who decided to go.
You know what? That brings up a good question, and I'm gonna look into this. If you're going and you're only going to watch the youth production, I'm gonna find out if you have to pay all these other fees, or if you can just buy a ticket or whatever, a day pass. Yeah.
It stands to reason that if you're not going to go to the whole conference, that you wouldn't have to pay the whole conference fee.
I would think,
but
I don't know that. I didn't ask that question yet.
We'll check on that. If you
tie in vacation.
Yeah, right. If you just want to go to supervise and not see the show, we could work something out with regards to lodging and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There is the Louisville Slugger Museum down there. I already looked that up.
You know how many distilleries are within?
I do know.
So
I've been there, done that too.
Really big distillery town.
No, I just.
This really wasn't on the agenda, but since you brought it up,
And the Corvette Museum's like,
we are
3 hours. Babies are excited. Anyway.
So there are obviously a lot of things to do in Louisville for adults that don't want to attend the conference, but just want to see their kid perform. But I do plan on, once we have an agenda schedule or an agenda from the conference, looking to see if there's an opportunity even to take the kids to do something fun. Like Kings Island is not far from there.
Say to her, we'll go back to Kings Island.
Yep. My high school band, we went to the Kentucky Derby parade and that was one of our days, was at Kings Island. That's my memory. So there you go. But so we'll talk about that later, but that is something that, just know that I'll find out about the cost if you're not attending the actual conference. Yes.
Do they perform more than one time down there?
As far as I know, they perform once.
And we have one rehearsal.
And there's an awards ceremony. So there is that. So yeah, one rehearsal.
And that's a good question. If parents can come see the rehearsal, we'll have to ask that question.
Or the award ceremony.
Yeah, for sure.
They may not be able to attend the rehearsal. I believe they're closed, but the award ceremony would probably be open. Did you have a? Oh, sorry.
Okay.
I thought maybe you had a question.
So yeah, we are going to look into that as we go. But as I was looking at it, I was like, all right, do I have to stay with the group if I don't want to? And we're being very cognizant when we select chaperones and children to make sure. Yes, I'm going to call you children. That everyone's separated accordingly, because that is high on my radar currently in my personal life. So everybody gets a burlap sack. Everybody. Sorry.
I understand you.
We might have.
I get it.
Just kidding. I was gonna say we might have access to restraints. No, I'm just kidding. Not really. I'm just kidding. Okay, transportation. We looked at some options for transportation, and the best arrangement that we can affordably come up with is to rent 12 and 15 passenger vans. Okay. It would stand to reason as it, based on everything I know right now, if it's just us and the chaperones going, that we will need two passenger vans. Okay. And so the transportation expense that you see there has been broken out to include an estimated cost of gas, and then the cost of the rental and insurance.
And is that
insurance. That's per person.
$185 per person.
Per person.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
I work
that.
better with the true number.
And I will say on the grant
That's okay.
application, they ask you for mileage and rental costs. So I'm sure that some of this is going to get chipped away. But again, I don't know much yet.
And then if you guys, I'll say again, if you decide to make it part of your vacation, then, because I know my vehicle's going to be full because we're going to haul the set. So if you decide to go separately, make it a longer whatever, then that's up to you, and then this number will change.
Right. And if we get parents that want, and I'm not asking you to, but I'm letting you know that if you want to go along and you want to help carpool, that will reduce the transportation expense. We can certainly compensate for gas, but that could potentially reduce us down to one van. So we'll have to wait and see what that looks like when it's all said and done. But this is, again, I'm trying to give you max numbers so that you know, kind of have a ballpark idea of what the worst case scenario is for all of that. And then meals, TBD. I've been told that if you stay in the hotel, there are lots of affordable places to eat in walking distance of the hotel.
Bringing bread, peanut butter, and jelly.
We're bringing bread, peanut butter, and jelly, and frozen donuts. Not really. One thing to think about, and again, we're not going to make this decision tonight, but it is something that's, been swirling in our heads. If we were to do an Airbnb type thing, the advantage is we could plan meals that could be cooked in the home and save significant money in that way. So there's things to discuss, but again, I just wanted to give everybody an idea of what the financial commitment might look like. And again, this is worst case scenario. And yeah, any questions?
If you decide to take the kid, like let's say we decided to make a vacation of it,
Mhm.
and Jordan rides with me,
Mhm.
and she stays with me.
Mhm.
Is she allowed to stay in a room with me, or does she have to stay with the group as a, like you said, 4 to a
Mhm.
room kind of thing? How do you? Is that going to be age dependent, or is
I-
that, do you know what I'm saying?
Without being able to say 100% for sure, my inclination, because I kind of thought about that a little bit, is that if your child can stay with you, we will just need to know that in advance for planning purposes, so we know how many
Right.
worms,
How many worms we're taking with us?
how many worms we
that
need
I'm
to reserve.
responsible for. And we haven't been told they can't. We were going to keep the cast together just as a
Sure.
group bonding. But I don't see any reason we haven't been told otherwise.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
We were too, yeah.
If you were to, and I'm thinking out loud here, because of course, my brain doesn't work like theirs. If you were to take your child and offer to either carpool or just plan on driving you and your family out there yourself and lodge yourself, more than likely these expenses we'd have to
Except-
determine if
I
they
think
apply
except
to
for the
you or not.
registration.
Well, the
stuff.
registration, but the transportation and the lodging
Would be on our
would
I
be
think
on
so.
you. But the only thing would be that you would need to make sure that your child was where they needed to be
Right.
when they needed to be there,
Well,
and that we were aware of that. I mean,
Yeah.
That's why I said is there an age appropriateness there? At an 18-year-old level versus a 12-year-old. You know what I'm saying?
I
I
think-
don't know what you're.
based
you
on
may
my
work anything out
experience
there.
with 18-year-olds, I'd still want them under some supervision.
Yeah, but they can't be in a room with minors.
Right.
Yes,
Mm, right.
exactly.
Well, they wouldn't be alone. I mean,
It doesn't matter. They can't be in a room with minors legally. They should not be allowed. They should not have in a hotel room with minors.
yeah, and I'm thinking of sisters and brothers and that sort of thing.
Right.
So,
But those are good points to bring out.
Yes.
So yes.
Yes.
And kind of to answer your question, my initial reaction to that, number one, if the parent is there, the parent
Is responsible.
is responsible. Unless they're in rehearsal with us, in which case we're responsible. But, aside from that, anybody who is in the class of 2023 or below is eligible for this. I don't care how old they are. They have to be under the supervision of either a chaperone or a parent for this event.
And I would think to circle back, I don't know that 18, that is the requirement for Act Fest. But, like mine, he's 20, but he still needs some supervision. So, however comfortable you feel.
I just wanted to kind of know where you're at.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care either way. I just
Now-
know what I need to
No,
know.
the questions are good. I
The-
mean,
Oh,
they're
absolutely.
not talked about. You make
Yeah.
assumptions and then people are all over the
Right,
place.
I'd rather just know what the
Mhm.
expectation is, so I know how to.
Now,
For
if
sure.
we're on like let's say you've said, I'm going with, so my crazy aunt lives in Louisville. I'm not going to see her. But if I were, let's say I was going to take my kid, which isn't going, but let's say I was going to take my kid and I wanted to take an afternoon. We don't have anything going on. I'm going to go see my aunt. As long as the team knows you have that person and you are taking that person. If you get wherever you're going and let your kid go on their own, that's
That's us.
you.
Okay.
We're not that controlling.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure I know
But-
what either your expectations or
Or the group,
organization.
the organization. Yeah.
requires.
So, yes.
So let's say Jessica got in and Ronan got in.
Mm-hmm.
This price would be times 2.
Mm-hmm. Per person.
Just making sure.
I know.
Well, transportation would be cut in half.
I'm sending them away.
But again, let me, that brings up another good point. We're not only planning to rely on this grant funding, we are planning to do some fundraising and some events to help raise money. And I'm going to tell you, when it came to, this is weird. This is like the first time I've ever said it, but I don't have any kids in school anymore other than college. So for like the first time ever, I don't have to do these stupid school fundraisers.
I'd rather just send my kid over the check at the beginning of the year.
Me too.
Here you go.
So
Sorry, I'm not
that
gonna
was going to be my
contribute.
statement was if we choose to do, and we'll do this in collaboration with the team, if we choose to do whatever fundraisers we choose to do, if you choose to buy your way out of it, have at it. If you're a good fundraiser person and you can raise all of your money, and if you raise, let's say, I hate this, what are those cards called? Major savers. Hate them. Let's just say we were selling major saver cards. Okay, we're not. But let's say we were.
Just taste for them.
I hate them. Because you can't ever sell them and they hype the kids up. Anyway, that's another conversation.
Maybe we'll want it 10 years after they've already sold
I've
out.
got so many of them. Anyway, if you sold 100 major saver cards, and I don't know how much money that raises for your kid, that money goes towards your expense. Okay, any individual fundraising goes towards your expenses. So not spread out amongst the pool. Does that make sense? Okay. Is that okay, Treasurer?
It'll be fine.
I was getting a look from her. I thought I should
I'm
double
just
check.
sitting here in my mind thinking this is a hell of a spreadsheet. Excuse my language. But I would not necessarily major saver cards, but
No, I'm not doing
cookie
that.
dough really goes well.
Lollipops, those dollar lollipops that are gigantic, those puppies sell.
We
There's
will
lots of-
have that discussion very soon.
About what fundraisers we do.
And we have some other opportunities I thought about, not to do a walk, but there's things like, I know I just did one I signed somebody's fundraiser. I would think it was a theater kid. I don't remember whose it was. But they did, a walk around the school and you paid per lap and, we could, huh?
Probably Hunters, because James did it.
No, it wasn't my kid. It wasn't one of mine. But anyway, we could do something like, I don't know, how many hours you can say monologues. I don't know. I don't know. We could come up with something creative. If somebody has some great ideas, we can talk about. But the intention is we're going to try to bring these costs down as much as possible.
Yes.
And we're not going to just rely on your checkbook and that one grant. And we do intend to look for other grant opportunities as well. So just know that.
Is this being held at the conference center downtown?
The Hyatt Regency in Louisville?
Oh.
Yeah. Mhm. So
Know anybody?
you've got,
Yeah,
you
we
got
go there
contact.
about once a year, visit my uncle.
Very cool.
Cool. That is
So you
cool.
know all the good places to eat.
Oh, that's important. We're going to be talking to you.
So it's the Marriott, I got an in on the Marriott.
It is.
Also know all the good, beers and
Oh, distillery.
distilleries.
Oh, that's important.
How do you relate to sharing that information?
I have
to-
I have to go and drink water.
That's memorable, I get that, okay.
Okay, so I think it was Hyatt. Pretty sure it was Hyatt, not Marriott. I think it was Hyatt. Pretty sure.
You're
Anyway,
probably right, I don't think there's a really, anyway.
so and then we are going to have a preview show it's tentatively scheduled for June 3rd. Of course, that was before we lost our venue, but I still would like to do it then because it's kind of like a dress rehearsal with an audience the week before we go, and I'd really still like to have that.
Yeah.
And the intention is that will be a no ticket cost donation only, and that money will also, the proceeds of that will also go towards the trip. So it'll be, last minute funding, but it might help to spread out some of the meal cost or something like that we acquire at the very end. So just some ideas that we have in mind to help
Defer
defray,
costs.
defer. Isn't defer put it aside till later?
No.
Reduce costs.
Yeah.
Sorry, I get distracted easily. Okay, so that in a nutshell is it. The audition will be next Thursday here, and I, as much as
Next
possible.
Thursday or next
I'm sorry,
Tuesday?
next Tuesday.
Okay.
Oh gosh, next Tuesday, November 1st. Here, my intention is to have everybody here the whole time, and it's 6:30 to 8:30. Just kind of read different parts and check chemistry and all that fun stuff. We're not going to likely do a callback. It's just going to be one and done. Okay. If you're going to be late or can't be here, we can come up with alternatives for that. Kara?
She has an hour. She has 6:30 to 7:30, maybe
Then,
7:20.
yeah, then we will make
Yeah.
sure we get,
Yeah, so.
you also?
Yeah.
Then we'll make sure we get you guys first and done and out of here. When
Well,
you
she's
need to
in
be.
tech. She won't be able to be
Oh, she's
there
in
at all.
tech. Oh, you won't be able to be here at all.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we'll do is I'll send you a monologue and you can read for me. So, and I've seen you act before, so I kind of have an idea, but yeah, we'll have you do some of the monologues. Nope, you're fine. And that goes to, if you know somebody that's what your kid or otherwise that has a conflict that night, let me know. We will work something out. Either video or like Kara said, Jordan can only be here for the first hour. We'll get those people in and out, or if you have to be late, we'll get you. It's okay. It's totally okay.
If it goes till 8:30, she may be able to be here like right at the end.
Okay.
Because she said the first hour, because it's 5 to 9, she said the first.
last hour is still important. I don't know how much we're gonna do in
I
time.
know, we'll talk to Julie and see if it works out.
I say no, I need to get my template.
You be I know, and we love Julie, so we're not gonna. Hey, Risa, I love Julie. We're not gonna upset Julie. I promise you, we will not take you from your tech rehearsal. But if you get done early and you want to head over, you guys can text me, let us know you're coming or whatever. We'll hold for you a little bit. So
You still have the side table, so I could always just like make her go to your house and wait for you too.
I do, and I have games. I have games.
I do too. But I think the moral is that if you know someone who can't be here, don't let that be a deterrent. Or if your kid gets sick that day, don't let that be a deterrent, because we will work with you. We are early enough in the process that we can make accommodations. We would rather have your beautiful talent than go, I wasn't feeling good that day. We will work with that.
And I've seen a couple. The other thing is, a few people have already, but most people have not. If your child's going to audition, go on. There's a link on the Sign Up Genius to take you to the online audition form. If you could fill that out, that's where you're going to list all your conflicts. I have seen some already, and I don't want anybody to stress out if you have a bunch of conflicts in November. It's
Everybody has a bunch of conflicts in November.
it's okay.
If I did it.
And December.
Just put them down. having a lot of conflicts does not necessarily rule you out, because again, we're only going to rehearse from now until the end of Christmas. We're going to rehearse one night a week or one day a week.
That doesn't necessarily have to be the same night every week, does it?
We'll have to see with the cast.
Yeah.
Once I know who the cast is and what their conflicts are, we'll work. It may be the same night. It's also going to depend on the venue that we're
Oh,
using.
yeah, that's true.
So
The other thing is that we have the ability to be flexible in all of that scheduling and such. Where we may not be really flexible is with the money part of it, and that's gonna be, I'm gonna be the big bad ogre here, so.
she's the money person.
I'm
That's
just,
okay.
FYI, I'm going to apologize in advance.
It is what it
But
is.
we wanna make this, I mean, this is a great opportunity. We
Mhm.
wanna make it a memorable experience for these kids, for adults and kids.
Forever. It's like really, I don't think any theater company from Missouri has gone in a very long time
Mhm.
to any sort of competition showcase thing. So it's really cool. Certainly not on the Kansas City side. St. Louis, they do their own thing. I don't know. But like, we're never gonna do this again. How freaking cool is this? It's pretty cool.
Well, don't say never, but.
I'm never gonna do this again.
But it is a really cool opportunity. And if you've never been to, like, if any of your kids have been to like ThesCon or even what's the forensics conference? I don't know. Anything like that. There's workshops. I know my kids have gone to ThesCon, which is a similar thing, but it's for schools, not for community theater. And there's workshops on all different things, on stage management stuff, on crew stuff, on dance, on acting. There's all kinds of workshops you get to go to. There is a special thing for 12 to 18-year-olds. It's called Youth Conference. They only let us send 3 people because there's only a max of 30 people in this part of the conference. It's part of ActFest, but it's a special thing just for that age group. That we may have an opportunity to send people to during that week. I just saw tonight when I was reading my spotlight that there is a monologue competition for youth. So if any of you guys do forensics and want to get involved in that, it's like a $25 entrance fee. That's on you, not us. But
No.
just letting you know. But it is an option that we can look at for participating. It's going to be a really great opportunity. And honestly, while the part about we'll never do it again, the chances of us getting selected a second time is probably not going to happen in any of these kids' educational lifetime, right? But the chance to go to this festival again in the future, possibly. We'll see how this year goes. It's our first year going, so. We'll see what happens, but it definitely is a really exciting opportunity. And we know people that have been involved with this festival, even though we haven't personally gone. So we can vouch for the fact that it is a strong festival and a strong experience. So
Plus, it looks super cool on their resume.
yeah, well,
Like super cool.
yeah. So any other questions?
Yeah. Any other? Yes.
Yeah.
Are you stretching?
No, I have a question. If our children go by themselves
Mm-hmm.
and they have food allergies and medications that they have to take, is that something that's gonna be easy to work with?
Well, I'm a registered nurse.
So medications, yes. I would think as long as we're aware of it.
We have to.
then-
You'll have, just like any other school event.
Yeah.
You'll have a health form.
you'll
You'll have a release. You'll have
Okay.
medication forms.
There's a possibility that, that Z's stepmom is actually gonna bring her.
Mhm.
Because she's got friends and family there and she's super excited to be a theater mom.
Cool.
So
Cool.
once I bring this information, Z may be going with
Mhm.
stepmom, which would be easier for allergies.
Right. Sure.
But yeah, and we would, even if there is a parent going, we need to know that information,
Okay.
obviously. So, and would need to have the medication information and all of that insurance. All of that will be coming in the somewhat near future.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that's a good question. So yes, Gabby.
Super cool that you're allowing stepmom to have that.
That is super cool.
Super cool.
Oh, I love stepmom.
That's super rare. Just
I
saying.
can't stand dad.
Well, that was assumed.
Stepmom is fantastic.
It's great that she's got a good stepmom in her
One out of
life.
two ain't bad.
Yeah.
So. Gabby, you had a question?
Okay, so like off of the medication, like
So it's not like with the school one where we have to give it to you, right? I would still be able to have it on me.
It's gonna probably, well, we're gonna have to check on that. I am looking
Just for
into some
insurance, like,
insurance, issues. But the thing about it is we're also gonna have to have parental permission for anybody if you needed a Tylenol.
But if you were
Or
staying
something
with
like that.
someone.
right.
But if you're staying with
If
somebody,
you're staying with, yeah.
No, but yeah, that'll all be laid out pretty much. I don't think it's gonna be a matter of, we have to have your entire allotment and you come to us at 8 in the morning every morning.
Yeah, I
but-
don't,
And
the
at 2 in the
school
afternoon,
Yeah.
and at night.
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of those things where, I'd like to say, I know you're old enough, you
Right.
could do it, but I don't know that legally. I need to find
Right.
that out.
That's,
So.
so probably you can, but we're gonna check on insurance and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, we have to make sure
We
that
just wanna make sure,
do it
because we
right.
have to be as conforming as possible for everyone. You know, we know each person individually and how they would act or react and stuff, but
And, yeah.
as an overall guideline, we have to follow these rules. It's,
Yeah. And the flip side is, let's say it's something, I'm just gonna throw this out there, like a asthma inhaler,
Mhm.
a rescue inhaler. I expect that the child would have that on them, because that's
EpiPen, that type of.
EpiPens, well, something, yeah, however that works. Those are certain things that have to be. But again, we're gonna have to look into some more information to get into those details. But we will find that out, so. Because I haven't taken a group to Louisville before, so. So, every day's an adventure. So, okay. Anything else?
If you think of things later, just email us.
I am gonna throw this out here too, because everybody has different interests, friends, family. If you know anyone that either owns a business or is, part of a business high enough up to, have that business offer donations, if you wanna give that information to me or to Vicky or Joy and they can get it to me, I'm happy to write an appeal letter to them.
We are a 501c3 organization. It's all tax deductible, all that good stuff.
And
Yeah.
again, that's could
For
be part
donations.
of your fundraising effort, or we'll just put it toward the main group, depending on how much I'm in talks right now with Blue Ridge Bank. You know, anybody in the banking business, they do a lot of donations like that. So,
So, yeah.
just throwing that out there, and it's not something that has to be done overnight. It can happen in the next couple of months even.
Donate space, but that's all I got.
Yeah.
That is
Space is
helpful,
important.
I'll say.
Yes. So, okay.
I reach out to my Facebook friends a lot. They do a lot of stuff.
Well,
But
I,
yeah, if you think of anything else,
Yeah.
you walk out of here and go, I didn't ask him, just shoot us a message or text or whatever. Cool.
so,
All right.
all right. Well, thank you for
so
being here.
much for coming out.
I hope to see you guys next week.
Putting together a group me for this.
Yeah, I'm sure we will, yeah.
Okay.
It'll be
Yeah.
run better because Vicky will do it.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming.